Chapter 1. Growing Up Feeling Money Without Words. No one ever sat me down and talked to me about money. There was no serious conversation, no warning, no moment where everything suddenly changed. But even without words, I felt it growing up. I noticed it in the pauses during conversations, in the careful way adults answered questions, and in the silence that sometimes stayed in the room longer than it should have. As a child, you don't understand numbers or budgets, but you understand atmosphere. And the atmosphere taught me to be careful. At school, this feeling followed me. I remember standing in the lunch line, holding my tray, and looking at the prices before I looked at the food. Other students talked about what they wanted. I thought about what I needed. I wasn't scared or anxious, I just felt responsible, even though no one asked me to be. Slowly, I started adjusting myself. I asked for less. I thought more. I learned to pause before wanting things. People said I was mature and understanding, but they didn't see the quiet thinking behind every decision. That was how money entered my life, not loudly, but silently, shaping the way I moved through my days. Chapter 2. Daily Decisions and Learning Self-Control. As I got older, my days became full of small decisions, not dramatic ones, just quiet choices that happened over and over again. Should I buy lunch today or wait until I get home? Should I join this activity or say I'm busy? Should I ask for something or decide it's not necessary? These questions played in my head constantly. Some days I truly wasn't hungry. Other days I told myself I wasn't because it was easier than explaining. After a while, controlling my needs felt normal. It even felt like maturity. I learned how to stretch things, how to wait, and how to manage on my own. From the outside, I looked calm and independent, but inside, I was always calculating. Every choice came with a pause. Every decision felt like it needed to be justified. I didn't complain, and I didn't ask for help. I adapted. And over time, adapting became part of who I was. Chapter 3. Watching others live more freely. At school, conversations flowed easily around me. People talked about shopping after class, weekend plans, trips they were excited about, and things they wanted next. No one was trying to hurt anyone. They were just living their lives out loud, without thinking twice. When someone asked me, "Are you coming with us?" I usually said, "Maybe." That word gave me time to think, to calculate, and to prepare myself in case I couldn't go. Saying maybe felt safer than saying yes and feeling disappointed later. Sometimes I wondered what it felt like to say yes without thinking first, to want something without checking the consequences in my head. That kind of freedom looked small from the outside, but it felt very big to me. So I stayed quiet, watched others, and learned how to step back without anyone really noticing. Chapter 4. Saving for safety, not for joy. One night, I was sitting alone in my room with a small box in front of me. Inside were coins I had been saving for a long time. Not for something exciting or fun, just in case. That moment stayed with me because I realized something important. I wasn't saving to have more. I was saving to feel safe. I understood then that I was learning responsibility very early. Before freedom, before curiosity, I was preparing for problems instead of possibilities. No one told me to do this. I learned it by watching, waiting, and adjusting myself quietly over time. That small box of coins represented more than money. It represented caution, control, and the need to feel secure. It showed me how carefully I was living, even when I was still very young. Chapter 5. How this experience shaped me. The hardest part of all this wasn't missing out on things. It was how careful I became with my dreams. I stopped wanting things loudly. I started measuring my future before imagining it. I learned to be realistic before allowing myself to hope. But this experience also gave me something valuable. It gave me empathy. It taught me patience. It made me more aware of other people and their struggles. I learned to notice what others might miss. If you're listening to this and this story feels familiar, I want you to know something. You're not weak and you're not behind. You're carrying something invisible. And even though people may not always see it, that weight matters. And so do you.
Chapter 1. How these experiences affect a young mind. What this student describes is something many young people experience, even if they don't talk about it. Growing up with constant awareness of limits shapes the way the mind works. When a student learns early to be careful, they often become very observant and controlled. They think before they speak. They hesitate before they ask. Over time, this can turn into a habit of holding back. In daily life, this often looks like a student who doesn't complain, doesn't demand much, and seems easy. Teachers might see them as calm or independent. Friends might think they're quiet or shy. But inside, there is usually a lot of thinking happening. Every choice is weighed. Every decision feels like it needs to make sense. Psychologically, this can slowly affect confidence, not because the student lacks ability, but because they learn to reduce their needs. When someone gets used to stepping back, they may start believing they should always step back. This is why some students stop sharing dreams or stop speaking about what they want. Understanding this is important because this behavior is not laziness or lack of motivation. It is a learned response to life conditions. And once we see it that way, we can begin to support it in a healthier direction. Chapter 2: What students can do and why it matters. For students living with this kind of pressure, the first step is realizing that their feelings make sense. There is nothing wrong with being careful. There is nothing wrong with being thoughtful. But problems begin when someone believes they must always stay quiet or always manage alone. In everyday life, this might look like never asking for help, even when it's needed, or saying, "I'm fine," when things feel heavy. Over time, this creates emotional exhaustion. Just like carrying a heavy bag every day, even a strong person gets tired. Students need to learn that asking for support does not mean losing strength. In fact, it often builds it. Talking to a teacher, a counselor, or even a trusted friend can help release some of that pressure. Small conversations matter more than people realize. It's also important for students to allow themselves to want things. Wanting does not mean being ungrateful. Dreaming does not mean being unrealistic. Giving yourself permission to imagine more is a healthy step forward, not a selfish one. Chapter 3: Moving forward with hope and confidence. Hope does not mean ignoring reality. It means believing that reality does not have to stay the same forever. Many people who grow up learning responsibility early later become strong, empathetic, and reliable adults. The key is not letting caution turn into self-doubt. In real life, we see this all the time. People who struggled quietly when they were young often become the ones who understand others the best. They become good listeners, supportive friends, and thoughtful leaders. Their early experiences shape them, but they don't limit them. What matters most is balance, learning when to be careful and when to step forward, learning when to protect yourself and when to take a chance. This balance takes time, and no one figures it out all at once. To any student listening to this, your story is not finished. Where you started does not decide where you will end up. The same awareness that made you careful can help you build a future with intention, confidence, and purpose. And you don't have to do it alone.